Hold on just a second. We may or may not be on. It's trying to go. It's on. I think we're live, Sam. Sam Musa, all the way from London, Ontario, Canada. Great to see you. I noticed, and I'm Pip, by the way, so you got Sam on that side, Pip on this side. You'll notice that the lighting on my side is a lot brighter than the lighting on his side. I know Sam's wife, she says he looks better in the dark. I know that for a fact. So Sam, let's welcome everybody. And we may or may not have some people. Welcome them to the wealth debate. How you doing, my friend?
Awesome. So Pip and I have been working together for many years, and more recently working on some stuff more specifically to financial education and helping people any way we can in these curious times, and trying to reach out to people in ways to support what they're trying to do, mainly through education. We really both deeply believe in education and the value of understanding money, considering it's something we deal with on a daily basis, and trying to better understand it so we could take the opportunities that are in front of us and execute. And we really believe deeply that it really comes down to understanding wealth, how it works. For us, it's an honor to be able to participate and help other people achieve their goals, financial goals, for whatever they wish to funnel that wealth to, which we really deeply believe also that we feel a responsibility to build as much wealth as we can in our lifetimes and divert that money and that wealth to places that need it. That the giving is really exciting part of being able to build that wealth. So we decided to put this wealth debate to talk about issues that are currently going on. In addition to that, talk about what that means to you, the effect of the current situation in Canada, the US, or even around the world, and how we can take advantage of the current situation in our own personal lives and day-to-day things that we can do to further increase our wealth. Again, we want to make this relevant for you. We want this to be meaningful and something that you enjoy. Coming week to week, we'll be doing this every Wednesday. And so your feedback and what you think is important to us. We want to be able to integrate that into what we're talking about. And we'll have some topics that we'd like to talk about and share with you. And if there is something you want to share, please use the comments. We're looking at them. We're reading them. Pip's on top of that, making sure that if there's a question or something that we can address right away, we absolutely will. And after the show, we're going to, give you some places that you can ask further questions. If you have ideas for, things that you feel are important that need to be talked about for our next show, please let us know. We'll definitely consider that, and hopefully over a series of shows, make sure that we include that in the dialogue. For the most part, it's the dialogue that's important to us.
I like the fact that you're already calling it a show. Like this is going to be a show of some sort.
It is.
A couple of things I want to say, Sam, and I'm going to let you just go because I know you'll go for hours. Is that first of all, mostly Canadians on here so far, from what I see.
Yes.
You guys could do me a favor. I'm watching the comments. Please type in, say hello. We want to get the interaction. For those of you guys that have seen me on Facebook Live the last few months, I love the interaction. There's a little bit of a delay. It takes me a little bit to get back and forth to the comments. So I see Rob on there, Cora, Rebecca, Atan. I saw Wendy, I think, a minute ago. So please type those in there. I greatly appreciate it so that I can see what's going on. And so I would love to see more of those comments in there and questions as well. Any questions that you have, please throw them out. I think it's kind of an interesting thing that I'm the one doing the technology. If anybody knows me, I'm the least technologically savvy person there ever was. And nonetheless, I'm the one doing the technology here. So it's kind of cool that I get to see these comments coming in, and I'm going to do my best to make sure I see them. I'm not sure I always know how to do all the technology stuff here, but yeah, please, we're going to want to be as interactive as we possibly can on this. So if you have any topics, we would love to know what those are. We're going to talk a little bit about interest rates and COVID, and we're not going to get political here, but we're definitely going to talk about how different things affect different stuff that we're doing. And so we want to make sure you guys see that. We want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to be a part of that. And so we're going to do our best to, and I'm just looking at some of the comments coming on, and yeah, Pip, you were a pro. You obviously, Rob, have no idea what I can do with technology. It's kind of scary what I do with technology. So I'm going to turn it back over to Sam.
Sure.
I know he's got some things off the top of his head that we've been talking about before the show started. The show. Now
Yeah.
I'm calling it the show.
Yes,
So
good. That's what it is, and that's what we're going to do. So, just a little bit about COVID, obviously, and some of the things that are happening. The UK this week started vaccinating people. One of the first major players in the world to take that on and really start feeding it into the population. High risk people are being chosen first, but it'll be interesting to see what happens there. They've been hit pretty hard. Third largest, I believe, in Europe, affected by it and really having a difficult time managing. Canada just approved for theirs. When that will come together, it's going to be difficult to say. The U.S. is meeting several meetings, I'm sure, going on this week to try to get approval to start using the vaccine in the United States. And I'm sure there's many countries around the world kind of racing to get to that. That being said, it's going to take some experts are saying a year or even 2 years to vaccinate such large populations of those countries, let alone the whole world. So we're probably going to be experiencing the continued challenges of COVID around the world and the economy, and some of the responses that we've seen with the United States and Canada and other countries around the world is really funding from the government to supply to people that have been affected by COVID that haven't been able to work. That's infused a lot of cash into the economy. Just for an example, in the United States, the money that they put out when it's leveraged and it actually makes its way through the economy could be around $10 trillion, which is almost half the GDP of the country. And the big concern there was that it was going to create inflation. All this money infused in the economy. Now, and it really didn't happen. And one of the reasons that it didn't happen is they weren't, infusing the money into already money that was there. The economy was clearly on life support, really in a coma, induced coma, I guess. And the money they injected into the economy actually was to replace what would have been made by the natural GDP, the natural production of the country. So there wasn't extra money. It wasn't extra money. It was just money that was replacing what wasn't being made, right? Directly to people, which was kind of important, right? Directly to people so they could survive. And some have actually thrived in that environment. What we've seen with that money coming into the United States and Canada, Canada did a similar program in the United States, is that money started funneling into the stock market. As we've seen, the stock market, had a huge, crash down, and now all the markets are at record highs and look to continue to rise, even though the economy is clearly going to have challenges in the coming year, 2 years, 3 years. Some experts saying 5 years to fully recover GDP numbers. And it's interesting to see that the market still goes up. Real estate also, a huge bump in residential real estate, more specifically. And some of it is people leaving from the cities, going to the suburbs, want more space, don't want to be in that dense population. And we're seeing that that coupled with, so the desire to get out there, that coupled with lower interest rates and inventories being low, because some people are just sitting on the sidelines, don't want to sell their home necessarily in this environment, or can't, based on what they're experiencing personally. So that's created a low inventory and really pushed up prices. Now the challenge with that, we'll talk about the stock market in a little bit, but just wanted to mention about real estate and something just to consider about real estate. Real estate is a very interesting asset class, and we say asset class loosely, right? Because at the end of the day, if you don't know how to invest in real estate, it can become a liability, definitely, for you. So you need to understand how to invest in real estate to make it profitable. It's not something that automatically will make you money. That being said, when you look at a house price jumping 10, 20, 30% in the span of 12 or 24 months, you start to feel like, well, this is pretty sure bet. I mean, I can invest in real estate, buy a property, pay it off as quickly as possible, and it'll grow through appreciation. So that will come back to appreciation in a second. What I want to introduce is the idea about interest rates. So you would think with interest rates going down, which has happened in the United States and Canada, more recently, HSBC has introduced a 1% variable rate for a mortgage. Now in Canada, we use a 5-year fixed mortgage as the standard. In the United States, a 30-year mortgage fixed is amazing. We wish we could have that in Canada. So the banks, when they offer these, sorry,
I think you guys as Canadians just wish to be Americans, is what I think. I think
okay.
that's what you all wish in Canada. That's what I'm guessing. I've been to Canada many times, and all Canadians wish they could be Americans. I know they do. I even Rob on here. I've seen that. Yeah, of course.
So we'll talk about healthcare another show. We'll talk about healthcare and who wants to be who.
I just want to say a couple things, and I'll get you right back on your roll. I got some people asking questions. Rebecca's got a good question. Would you join a revenue sharing company over a profit sharing company? We'll come back to that, Rebecca. Not an issue. If you guys also ever have an issue, please send your questions. You can put them in my personal message to me, or we'll try to answer them through this. We may answer them, on the next show that we do next week. So definitely we'll try to answer as many of those as we can. Great to see all of you guys coming on here. Wendy, I know you want to be an American. I get it. We'll help you get some citizenship down here in a little while. So we'll definitely do that for you, Wendy, because I know you can hardly wait to come. It's all good. And so for those of you guys that are coming on, keep showing the comments. That keeps the energy going. So keep sending me the comments. I'm going to interrupt Sam on occasion and go in with the comments. So Sam, back to what you're talking about.
Sure. So we were talking about interest rates and the impact of interest rates on property and how to better understand them. So we were talking about the United States having 30-year fixed mortgages, which is wonderful to know what your payment is for the next 30 years. And the rates are extremely competitive in the U.S. They have an open market system, much more open than Canada. So there's a lot of competitiveness to get that business. I think that's the main reason that they have 30-year mortgages and we don't. We're pretty much dominated by five major institutions, 5 or 6 that really are the players here. So anyways, as interest rates come down, it appears that it's a good idea to get a mortgage, right? If you can get a mortgage at a lower rate, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to buy a house when interest rates go down? And this is what we've seen in Canada and the United States. Part of the fuel actually pushing up the prices. So the dilemma or challenge is this, is what happens when interest rates go down is at the end of the day, you can afford more house is what it comes down to, right? Because less of your monthly payment is going to interest, right? So if I was making $2,000 a month, and with the current interest rate, I could afford a $400,000 house. All of a sudden, with a lower interest rate, I can qualify now for a $700,000 house, right? I can buy more house because my payment, my $2,000 that I can contribute to my home, right, to taking care of a dwelling and investing in a personal dwelling. I can spend more of that money for the principal. So on an amortization table, it looks much better to me, right? Because I'm only paying 1%, 2%, or 3%. If we're talking about the U.S., I'm paying less interest, which typically would sound like a good idea. If I'm paying less interest, how could that be bad? Now, here's the challenge. Is what happens is that $400,000 house you were going to buy at $2,000, and because interest rates have come down, you can afford a $700,000. That's the same house. That's the exact same house. The $400,000 house now is shot up to $700,000 house because you can afford to pay, $700,000 because you make $2,000 a month. The interest rates come down. You can pay more principal. Hence, we can afford a more expensive home. You're not really getting a house that's valued at more, a real, more house, more square footage, a better location. Unfortunately, that's not happening. So what we're going to do is we're going to examine the idea. I know.
Really, you go on Facebook Live. This is your debut, and you have your phone on ring.
Yeah, well,
Let's
I
be
never
serious.
have that. I never
Let's
have
be
that.
serious.
That's shocking. I'm the guy that misses a call because it's not vibrate. But anyways, so as interest rates come down, prices go up. So the house, like I said, was 400,000, is now worth say 700,000. So you're not really getting more house. So that's one thing is you're paying more for the same house. The other interesting thing to consider, and Pip, he'll jump in and talk more about these scenarios, but the other thing to recognize is that if you're looking for capital gains in your property, if you're looking for actually, making money on appreciation year over year, you're better off, you ready? You're better off buying a house at a higher interest rate than a lower interest rate. Let me say that again. You're better off buying a house when interest rates are high than when they're low, okay? I'm going to explain that real quick, and then Pip's going to come in and expand on some of these ideas. But the main reason is this. When the interest rates are at 1, say, okay? Now, it's unlikely that they're going to go further lower. Can they go to 0? Yes. I wouldn't shock me at all that it would go to 0. In fact, we'll talk about some of the strategies the governments are going to use in the United States, Canada, and other modern economies to keep the real estate market going. And we know this because we've seen that history play out with other countries around the world that have experienced, hardship, financial hardship, or challenges trying to keep their real estate market afloat. So with the interest rate being low, as the interest rates would go down, we know that property values go up. We just talked about that 400,000 to 700,000, right? Because you have more disposable income that can be applied to the principal, right? So could the interest rates go to 0? Yes. Could they go to negative rates? Yes, that's possible. We can talk about some other countries like Japan and Denmark more recently has negative interest rates for a mortgage, believe it or not. Now, as rates go down, interest rates go down, same thing happens, right? More disposable income can be applied. The money, better put, the money to deal with my personal residence. I can apply more of that principal money to my principal of my mortgage, less interest, so prices go up. Now, the likelihood of it going down is possible. Could it go to 0? Yes. Could it go to negative? Yes. Okay. But what's more likely over time is the rates go up. Now, as rates go up, the reverse happens. So the house was at 700,000, rates go up. I can't afford to pay the $700,000 price tag anymore. Why? Because interest rates have gone up and more of my $2,000 now is going to interest, less to principal. So what happens is that $400,000 house goes down to, that $700,000 house goes down to 400,000. If rates continue to rise, that pressure will continue. Now, why is that important for us? Well, if I'm pursuing capital gains, if I'm pursuing appreciation, it's going to take me a lot longer to play out the appreciation model in real estate when rates are going up. Whereas if rates are high and I'm buying when it's high, as rates fall, what happens? Prices go up. So I will achieve a greater result from capital gains by interest rates going down. So again, considering and understanding the interest rates and the impact for you is important if you're pursuing capital gains. That's not the whole story about real estate, obviously, but that's one that the majority of people are attracted to when they talk about real estate. Pip?
Well, and one of the things I'm doing, Sam, is I'm actually replying while you're talking. So
Excellent.
Getting 2 things done at once. I can't believe we're getting that all going. In fact, some of the guys are asking me if I'm going to get any words in at all in this 30 minutes. And so, and that's not a problem. If I can answer things on there and Sam does some of the talking, that's great. These are going to go back and forth. There's different topics that I'll talk more on.
Sure.
And I know one of the things that Sam and I were just talking about this before we started is how can interest rates go to 0 or below 0, negative interest? How does a bank make money on that? And that is really a very interesting question, because think about it. If the bank gave you $1 for loaning, if they said, we'll lend the money to you and we'll pay you $1. But what the bank got to do, because they gave you $1, is create $10 every time they did that. What would the bank do? They'd want to keep doing this over and over and over again, because the bank can take whatever times their assets are on average, they can take their assets and multiply them by 10. And so if their assets are 100,000. If they write $100,000 mortgage, that shows as $1 million versus assets on their balance sheet. So obviously there's caps to that and all that kind of stuff based on the banking rates or the banking rules, pardon me. But I've taught all over the world, and I've been in Germany, been in Switzerland, where they have 0% and negative interest rates. And the banks there are doing just fine. The banks get to do reserve lending where they can actually multiply their assets in many instances times 10. That's probably, I think it's nine or 10 is the general preferred, what we see across the world. Obviously other countries can have different things, and it just gives them an opportunity to make money at a higher level. So they know that for affordability, especially, and I'll use Canadian house prices as much as anything, although there's a lot of places in the US where prices are still skyrocketing even in the pandemic times. But I think the reason for Canada, a perfect example, it's not all about supply and demand. There's no doubt about it. It's more about playing the money game that they're playing with that, and the interest rates keep dropping because prices keep going up, and it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was just going to say, and some of the, you brought up a great point about the banks. I mean, fractional reserve lending is really allows the banks to multiply their returns times 10 as an average number. So if a bank's giving you a 3% mortgage, they're not making 3%, they're making 30%. So even if a bank making 1% is still making 10%. And when banks take negative interest rates, they funnel that capital somewhere else, and they'll make a much greater return on that. So the real, structure of a bank is buying and selling debt. They're not using their own money, they're using depositors' money, and they love or wish there was less regulation to allow them to lend money. They love to lend money because that's when they make money, right? It's to be able to lend money. It almost sounds criminal, really, when you work it out. It sounds criminal, and I don't think that the people inside the bank, for the most part, understand how money works. At some level, maybe someone does, but they don't. And I would question the government if they understand. Some of the officials in government understand how real estate works and the whole idea of wealth behind that. That to say what Pip was saying about some of the things that they're doing to try to keep those markets afloat. It wouldn't be crazy to see Canada and the United States extend their amortization with insurable loans. So you would see right now in Canada, we have insured loans. Now they're up to 30 years, right? Where you can get insurance on your loan. And that insurance basically is something that there's companies out there, and there's CMHC in Canada is one of the main ones, where you insure a loan if you put less than 20% down. So you have to insure the loan, and the loan's insured, and the bank makes you pay for that. But even when you put 20% down, they're still getting the insurance. Like the bank's paying for it, they're just not making you pay for it. So they're still paying for the insurance. That loan typically is an insured loan. So the governments are probably going to allow, that's a government controlled CMHC. So to allow to mandate longer extensions to 35, 40 years, 45, 50 years. And believe it or not, there's places around the world that have 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, or even 100 has been tried as a amortization, which is basically interest only on that. Generational loans, basically. Generational loans. So when you look at that, each time they extend the amortization possibility, that reduces the amount of money that you need to buy that more expensive house. So that has the same effect as lowering rates. If you lower rates, more of my money can stretch to buy more house, right? But same amount of money, right? The guy's still making, $2,000 a month. So the house value can go up. He can afford more because the payment per month is smaller. So that's one big strategy. So we have interest and we have amortization. And the third one we have that's going to be something that we're probably going to see is they'll move towards zero down to buy a house. First time home buyers or whatever program they'll have, you don't have to put anything down. You just got to pay for the lawyer fees and stuff like that. We're going to do that. In Canada, the government thought it was a good idea to lend you 10% interest-free loan on a brand new house. So if you want to buy a brand new house in Canada, you can apply for a 10% interest-free loan to go towards the purchase of the house. And what happens is when the house sells, You pay back the government the 10%, and any money that they made, they get basically a 10% share of that. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to pay it. You just pay it at the end when you sell it. You know, if you sell it earlier, it's done there. If there's a loss, though, you don't have to worry about it. It's okay. They take the loss too. But this is an interest-free loan, and this was supposed to help Canadians, you know, afford housing, which all it did again was raise prices. And it drives me nuts that when the government does this, they actually hurt the market. They hurt the market. They hurt the market from doing what it's supposed to do. You know, I would rather the government stay out of business, and more, you know, regulation is important. I understand, to regulate the business, but not to, you know, mandate, you know, rates and things like that. They got to lead more like the United States. We need a more open flowing market so you can manage these rises and falls, and the government doesn't have to participate in trying to manufacture the growth. Yeah.
Did I hear the Canadians say they want to be more like the United States? Did I hear that?
I would say,
I think I heard that.
I envy you guys. I envy you guys for,
as you should.
For competition without question.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I got a couple people asking questions, and let's throw them out there because we're getting close to our 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So one of the comments is, so what's the best strategy when the interest rates are low? And how can investors be creative during these times when inventory is low on property? So you could take the first one. What do you think the best investment is when interest rates are low?
So when you're in this environment, let's talk about this environment, because this is the one that we're dealing with now. So in this environment, couple strategies are winners in this environment. So flipping a house is great in this environment. Why? Because as rates go down, prices go up. So flipping property, great market, great environment for flipping houses. Awesome environment for flipping houses. Also, awesome environment for wholesaling. Absolutely. Wholesaling is great. And I love wholesaling for the idea that you don't take on the risk of ownership, right? You're not trapped in that property or have to hold it. The ones that are high risk, big time, are rental properties, especially commercial property. Commercial property is going to suffer who knows how long because of the shift from working from home. There's going to be a lot of office space. It's going to be extremely competitive. But even the rental market, you know, for residential, you have to be careful because, you know, we don't know how long this is going to last, and the government's already mandated some, you know, you can't evict for non-payment. You know, the banks are working with you as an investor, but ultimately you still have to pay that loan off, where the tenant, really, you're not going to recover those losses. So it's extremely difficult. So those are more high risk. That being said, any property that makes money, we're big believers, Pip and I, that anything that makes money, if the numbers make sense, whatever strategy, do it. Yeah. But you have to run the numbers. You have to run the numbers and take advantage of that. Pip?
Well, I'm going to say, and I'm not going to disagree with anything the Canadian said there, but I might just disagree on principle alone because he's Canadian and I'm not. There's going to be so many Canadians that watch this and they're going to be like, Pip, I thought you were almost Canadian. I have to have I haven't been to Canada for about 4 years now, and so I got to have some fun with all my.
Hasn't been the same since you left, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sure it hasn't been the same. I'm sure it's gotten better. Is probably what has happened. But no, interestingly enough, and somebody, I think Rebecca had this question on there, and she should know this as much as anybody. I think any strategy that you're looking at with real estate where you can solve somebody's problem.
True story.
Because we know what's going to happen at some point. Now, when is this going to happen? We don't know, because and I can't speak to the Canadian market as much as I can on the US when it comes to this. There's a lot of properties right now that are in what are called forbearance. The government's come in and said, okay, we're not going to make you pay right now because of the pandemic that's going on. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing or a good thing. It's something that had to be done. Unfortunately, and I learned a lot of this from Robert Kiyosaki, is that a lot of times governments, what they do when they try to fix one problem, they push the other problem into the future or onto the next generation. So I'm all for, if you're you've lost your job, you can't make your mortgage payment, and the government says, well, we'll let you hold off on your mortgage payment for a while. We'll do a forbearance. And all that basically means is somebody's not getting paid. And you're not making the mortgage payment. Okay, yay for you. But there's somebody else at a bank level, whatever. And I know you guys are thinking, oh, the banks have the big, tall, nice buildings. They're going to be okay. Eventually, banks need to get paid too. And because then banks have investors that expect returns on their money. And it becomes just a real vicious cycle if we don't make payments on things. So what's going to happen at some point? They're going to have to say, we can no longer let you forbear or not make this payment or do a forbearance on this mortgage, which means the amount of foreclosures, Rebecca, I think are going to skyrocket. And a lot of it's because of job loss, and it's sad. And so when there's a lot of foreclosures, multiple things happen. Lease options is a strategy that works in many different ways. Mr. Hipple, how are you, sir? And so lease option works no matter what the market is doing because we're solving a problem.
Yeah.
But what we can understand is that when there's a lot of foreclosures, that means a lot of people are losing their houses. So what happens to those people? Do they magically disappear off the earth? No. I remember 2008 as an investor, a lot of people went into foreclosure. Now, I don't think we'll have quite the glut of foreclosures that we had back in 2008. Maybe, maybe not. We'll have a lot of them. And in that situation, those people that were homeowners had to become renters. So when you have a glut of people that were homeowners that now have to become renters, that creates a supply and demand issue. There's a huge demand for more rental properties is what there are. And so those people didn't magically disappear off the earth. They just had to go live in a different type of property. Maybe it's a lease option until they get their credit fixed. Maybe it's back into a rental property. So you're going to see this yo-yo effect a little bit, and you're going to see that happening. And so I think it's imperative that everybody understands these are forces that happen, and I can't say when I hear the word cyclical, I think of 1-year cycles. The real estate cycle's roughly, I think over history, about a 10-year cycle is what it looks like. And I don't care if you do the UK, if you do Canada, if you do the US, they might not always be at the same points on that real estate cycle, but there's the ups and downs, the euphoria, the buying frenzies, and then the fear and everything else. And we've been at a euphoria rate for a while when it comes to real estate. We've been at this high. And it's amazingly enough, it seems like it keeps going higher now. I think some of it's a little bit inflated because of what's happened in the world. Some of it's a little bit inflated. I invest in Florida, and I'm seeing prices there going up like crazy. And I'm thinking, what? People are moving out of some areas of the US to move to Florida. I'm sure it's not all about the weather. I think a little bit it might be about taxes.
Yes.
And they want a little more space than what they have in the high rises in New York and San Francisco. So go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, and I think that echoing what Pip's saying about rental properties and the opportunity of rental properties, I think it's key to understand, and hopefully we'll get some time on some later shows to talk about the importance of understanding debt and how leverage can allow you to participate far more involved in real estate and get those higher returns. There's really not, you're not going to go into the market and see 30-40% returns in real estate. You know, if you're putting the conventional approach to it and trying to pay it off, that's not how it works. We need leverage to increase our returns from, say, 3%, just like the bank, from 3% to 30%. So we learned a lot from the banks and how they structure their loans and how they make money. And we apply those same principles to real estate. Pip's absolutely right. At some point when people, because of the economy and the jobs, we're going to see a big pressure on rental market. It'll do two things. We'll see a slight push up on the cost of rentals as that inventory fills up. But more exciting actually is the quality of the renter. The quality of the renter is actually better because those people who would have bought houses are now renting, right? That's the benefit of, you know, the downturn. The downturn gets you better quality renters, where the upturn gives you less quality renters because now they can afford to buy homes. You're still going to see a little bit of upward pressure, really, still because of inflation and stuff. So it's still going to go up. But what's cool about that is you don't make as much as you would have in the inverse. You make money on the capital gains of the house because house values go up, right? So you get capital gains, not the best quality renters, but you get your house value goes up. So when you structure real estate properly, it's phenomenal. It's amazing. And it's a lot of fun. And you get excited when you can participate with the right strategy at the right time. When you don't, it's brutal. Like real estate is brutal when you don't know what you're doing. It's very, very harsh and unforgiving and something that if you're serious about doing, need to understand money, need to understand debt, wealth, how to create it, and definitely need to understand the asset class. And I can tell you something about real estate. The last the last thing to worry about, the least valuable and attractive thing in real estate is the actual property. It's the actual property. It's all about something that I learned from Pip. And if you don't know this, I don't know how many of you are on the call and know this, but Pip's my mentor. Pip has been a mentor for me for a long time, and without question would not understand what I understand without the inspiration and the guidance of this man. So I didn't wake up and know this stuff. I had to learn it. And Pip was a lot of the reason I drove towards that, because he showed me possibility and opportunity and understanding a different way. So definitely somebody worth paying attention to, listening. He's affected Pip. I don't know, buddy. I don't know what your legacy has been so far, but it's got to be in the hundreds of thousands of people. You've been doing it. How long have you been teaching now? 20 years?
15 years, investing for 18 years. Yeah.
18 years. So, all over the world, helping people and continue to do that, and exciting to be part of that moving forward, and making that happen. So, we're excited to get your questions and help you better understand this. Know that, it doesn't matter what you know. It matters that you don't know and you want to learn, and we want to be a resource for you.
If I could ask everybody from a housekeeping standpoint, if you have more questions, send them to us, and we'll probably address some of these on the next the show, as we've already started calling it a show. I love that. It'll definitely be a show.
It is funny.
I kind of feel like some of you guys might be old enough to remember Bob and Doug McKenzie from the Great White North. How you doing, eh? You're like a hoser, eh? That kind of thing, eh? And so anyway, what I'm going to ask everybody to do, share this with other people. Let them know that we're going to be doing this on Wednesday evenings, probably be somewhere between 8 and 9 o'clock Eastern. I had to I had to move it back a little bit because of some prior commitments tonight. But we're going to go next Wednesday as well. At least I think we're going to go next Wednesday as well. I may be in another city, but we'll figure it out one way or another. So we're definitely going to have some fun doing this. Look for the things on the Facebook, as far as if we change a date or something like that. And we may be able, we maybe move around things a little bit on Christmas and New Year's weeks. We'll just have to figure that out. But we definitely want to get some traction going here. So if you see the link, Chuck, what's up, my friend? If you see the link in any way, shape, or form, if you can share that with other people, let them know that we're doing this. I will also post this on my YouTube page or YouTube channel. So I would love to see more of you guys out there. I truly enjoy getting to go back and forth with Sam Musa, even though I'm usually right and he's wrong, but that's okay. We'll get that. We're going to start keeping score here in a little while. So anyway, so the next time, please send us our questions in the chat. Sam, you got something else you want to say?
I just want to make sure, if you have an idea for a show you'd like us to do or talk about a topic, and we are intending to bring on other individuals, guests, to talk about different concepts and ideas and things they do in investing to further that education for all of us. Please let us know if there's a topic you're interested in or something you think is important that needs to be talked about. Please let us know, and we'll definitely do our best to get that on as quickly as possible.
And so, yeah, we will. This is going to be more of a give and take. It doesn't need to be one-sided. I'm sure Sam will talk more than anybody else, but that's okay. I know that'll happen. I guarantee it will. Unless I can shut his microphone off. I do have that power because I'm the host of this. If he gets out of hand, I'll just mute him and I'll keep right on talking. It's all good. So until next week, Wednesday, hopefully that's the time frame we'll be doing this next Wednesday. Yes, so we'll definitely, please share this with everybody, look forward to growing this. This is going to be fun. So Sam, until the next time, you're going to be all right.
Yeah, you're going to be all right too. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.